What's up guys, welcome back to Money Crow, the channel all about making your money grow. Finding people living paycheck to paycheck is unfortunately too common of an occurrence these days. According to Forbes, an incredible 78% of workers live paycheck to paycheck. That number is outstanding, but it's not too shocking considering real wages have not increased at a significant enough speed to outpace real inflation, which is a legitimate issue because earning a low income sometimes means it's impossible to save anything just due to all your living expenses. This article explains that 70% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved up in the bank, and in order to pay a $400 emergency, they'd need to borrow the money or sell something in order to round up the cash. Another big reason people have the issue of not having anything left over before their next paycheck is the fact that not everybody budgets their money. According to that same article, only 41% of Americans use a budget. It's so important to know exactly how much money is coming in and how much money is going out each and every month. Sometimes just sitting down and visualizing these real numbers will shock you when you find out how much money you may be overspending. Even though I've always considered myself to be a frugal person and a prudent saver, just looking at my bank statements and credit card statements has shown me so many ways I could be cutting back on spending. And interestingly enough, cutting back on spending is one of the most efficient ways to increase your savings without increasing your income. I thought it'd be really valuable to show and explain a hypothetical example using median US net income numbers that could very well align perfectly with the majority of people. And if they don't, simply use the percentages and scale the numbers up or down according to your actual income and spending. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters, Prismatic, Erica, and Andrew Paz. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you guys want to be notified immediately after I make a trade in my wheel options portfolio, consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll have all that information listed on there, linked down below. Another easy way to help out the channel is by clicking one of my 3 different referral links so we can both get free stocks and free cash. Webull is currently giving away a stock valued up to $1,600 when you sign up. M1 Finance is giving away $20 in cash, and Robinhood is giving away a free stock like Apple or Facebook or many others when you sign up. Links in the description. According to Fred, the median personal net income in 2019 was $35,977. Let's round that up to $36,000 just to have a nice round number. Also, keep in mind this is after-tax money. So if you're recreating this exercise yourself, in order to visualize your income versus expenses, be sure to only use the actual dollar amounts that hit your bank account. This is the money that you get to keep in full, aka your after-tax money. If you guys enjoy this type of content, I would really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much. So in front of me is a stack of $36,000 in cash. I love seeing things in this perspective because it really makes it feel more real. You're actually receiving this money, and once you throw it into one of your spending piles, it's gone forever into the incinerator. So based on ElitePersonalFinance.com's research, using data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Summary, say that 5 times fast, these are the percentages from a few years ago that a household spends on each spending category. And since these are percentages, they'll fit pretty well with this individual hypothetical person making a net income of $36,000. And we can just assume that if they are in a multiple person household, that the other person or people in that household also spend a similar percentage of their income. So these are the 14 different categories with the percentage spent on each category based on an individual's income. We can see that number 1 is housing, which isn't too surprising, taking up almost a third of a person's entire income. Just so you guys know, I added this up 3 different times, and each time it gave me 100.1%. I have no idea why, but it's fine because we're going to be cutting it down from 14 categories into 7 to make it easier to follow. Instead of having those tiny little categories that could just be included in miscellaneous expenses, we'll just make the miscellaneous slice of the pie larger. Also, instead of keeping the personal insurance, which could be something like life insurance, and your pension, which is part of your overall retirement savings, we're just going to name that category investments. I added the 11.3% from that category, and I'm also adding the 3.1% from the cash contribution category, and that equals 14.4% total. That actually bumps the percentage level of our investment category up above food, so we'll make it category number 3 for now. For our new 7 categories, I'm also knocking off the 0.1% extra that we had for whatever reason. I'm just going to take this off of the miscellaneous category. So here's what the new breakdown looks like with all the new percentages. I just did that in order to make it easier to follow. So let's divide our $36,000 into 12 because that's our monthly take-home amount, which is going to be $3,000 per month. So long, Bowser. So we have our $3,000, and now let's multiply 3,000 by 33.1% to see how much this hypothetical individual is putting into the housing pile every single month. We get a total of $993. In my opinion, if you're renting, that money is being thrown straight into the fireplace. Okay, maybe not really. And obviously, each individual person's circumstances affect the decision on whether they can or should buy or rent. But my personal view is that with a mortgage, you're locking in a relatively low interest rate with a stagnant monthly payment for up to 30 years, and you're putting away some money into the principal of your property each and every month. And you're also benefiting from the appreciation of the property, all while getting favorable tax treatment. I do acknowledge that I'm biased toward owning, but it just makes sense to me. And just for the sake of saving time, I'm gonna put the amounts of the other categories on the screen first, and then go over each one and make some suggestions to this hypothetical person. So for category 1, which is housing that we just went over, according to the data, that's supposed to include your monthly payment, property taxes, utilities, fuel, public services, household furnishings, and equipment. That's a lot. And depending where you live, that $993 amount may seem ridiculously low to include all of that. However, remember we're taking a look at an individual person. So if that person has a significant other, maybe they're splitting the cost 50-50, and the total for housing is actually double, which would be $1,986 per month. So just keep that in mind for all these categories. When you take into consideration that it includes all those housing expenses mentioned, that number actually isn't too bad. I'm not mad at a 33.1% housing expense, but I would prefer something closer to 25% if possible. For category 2, transportation costs are extremely high for this person if you ask me, especially considering a hypothetical second person in your household also paying a similar amount. Coming in at $477 per month, it's all going toward a depreciating asset that could be better allocated if you ask me. Vehicles are one of the biggest pitfalls when it comes to wastes of money. I would try to buy a used, relatively reliable, and relatively fuel-efficient car in order to avoid getting hit by depreciation, and also in order to avoid spending so much on repairs, upkeep, and gas. I'm definitely not a car guy, but I love cars like Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas for those reasons. For example, if you buy a $6,000 used car and take advantage of these low rates to finance it at about 3% interest rate over 5 years, you'll be paying $108 per month. And let's say insurance, gas, repairs, and upkeep come out to another $200 per month. That's $308 total. You would have knocked down your transportation costs from 15.9% all the way down to 10.26%. Much better. For category number 3, it's important to keep in mind that this investment category coming in at $432 per month does not include a retirement account like a Roth IRA or a 401k or a taxable brokerage account, which are all very important if you want to retire comfortably one day. Life insurance is definitely great to have for your family, and a pension is wonderful when you reach retirement age within your workplace, but you do need other sources of income in retirement, especially if you want to retire earlier than what's considered a typical retirement age. So this might sound crazy to some, but being a finance channel and being the frugal person I am, I would recommend bumping this number up to at least 35% or more if you're able to, especially if we're considering the initial 14.4% from this category to just be an expense. That only leaves 20.6% in remaining investment contributions. Rather than thinking, I'll invest whatever I have left over after spending, shift your mindset to say, I'll spend whatever I have left over after investing. Category number 4, coming in at $387 per month. Food is probably the worst enemy of many savers. You know you should be trying to cook inexpensive meals, but it's just so easy to pull up to a drive-through window or tap a few buttons on your phone and get food delivered. That being said, the 12.9% from this category is actually pretty good. I have no complaints there. However, I will acknowledge that this is one of the easiest categories to cut back on because you're in complete control of the food and groceries that you buy and eat. So if you're over the 12.9% number, cut down to at least 12.9% if you can. Category number 5. Miscellaneous category, coming in at $306 per month. This category includes any spending not described in any of the other categories. I think 10.2% is insane for this, because this type of spending is typically luxury spending, like hiring someone to mow your lawn, paying to get your laundry done, buying new clothes, things like that. I understand if we include work expense or education expense here, it's justifiable, but if you're not including those, please don't be spending 10.2% of your entire income on things like this. Try limiting this to about 3%. Category number 6 is healthcare, coming in at $246 per month. I have very little to say about healthcare because I know everyone's situation is different. I always recommend to explore new healthcare plans and see if you can get better prices, but I'll just assume most of us can't, so we'll keep this one as is at 8.2%. Category number 7 is entertainment, coming in at $159 per month. Now, entertainment is obviously the splurge category where you can include your hobby spending, going out to the movies, going to amusement parks, going to a baseball game, whatever is considered entertainment for you. You might find this surprising, but I actually think this is really important to have, just so you don't feel like you're not rewarding yourself and burn out from having no entertainment. So I'd actually bump this category up a little bit to 5.64%. So based on all my recommendations that I just went over, here's the new order with new amounts. I broke down investments into 3 lines to show life insurance and pension for line 1, additional investments like retirement accounts and brokerage accounts for line 2, and then added those 2 numbers up in line 3. And if we add up all my percentages from all the different categories, we get a total of 100%, not 100.1%. I'm totally kidding. I really appreciate ElitePersonalFinance.com for the information. And it's probably me that missed something. The nice thing about my recommendations is I more than doubled the investment category, obviously because I think it's so important, but it also gives you a large buffer room to work with as you work your way to investing more and spending less. You can start little by little and work your way up. You guys are going to see me use compound interest calculators a lot in this channel. Just for fun, if we assume this hypothetical person is 30 years old and wants to retire at age 60, starting with nothing and investing the $618 every month per my recommendation into something like VOO, which is my favorite S&P 500 index fund. Based on the S&P 500's average 10% return over the past century, that person would have $1.4 million at age 60. And that's not even accounting for the life insurance or pension which this person is contributing to as well. So to summarize, step 1 is budget, budget, budget. That's the most important thing. Step 2 is avoid lifestyle inflation. I know we didn't go over this explicitly in the video, but obviously if you're making something like $500,000 a year, please don't be spending my recommended 10.26% of that on your annual car expenses. Once you get used to living on a certain income and investing a large chunk of it, when you get a raise, you'll be able to dedicate the majority of that raise to your investments. Number 3, focus on investing first and spending the remainder, rather than spending first and investing the remainder. That's very important. Number 4, trim out the fat of your spending categories. Try to be more frugal and prioritize retirement savings. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed and got some valuable information. Start a budget, start investing. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please comment down below. I'll be reading all of them. And remember to follow all of my trades on Patreon and get your free stocks in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching until the very end. I hope you'll be back for future videos. And as always, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, and comment. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Should I do it? I'm not gonna do it. It's too much cleanup.